Good evening, church. It's good to see everyone again today. Today is the 14th of the month, and so we are in Proverbs chapter 14. I hope that you've been enjoying these quick lessons, and I hope that you have been hearing and understanding some of the nuggets of truth that are in there, and you probably are saying, why didn't I comment on one or more of the things that you found? But we all get to see things in here and grow each time we read these Proverbs. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for us. Proverbs chapter 14 starts out like this. The wisest of women build her house, but folly with her own hands tears it down. Whoever walks in upright fears the Lord, but he who is devious in his ways despises him. By the mouth of a fool a rod for his back, but the lips of the wise will preserve them. Where there are no oxen, the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of an ox. A faithful witness does not lie, but a false witness breathes out lies. A scoffer seeks wisdom in vain, but knowledge is easy for a man of understanding. Leave the presence of a fool, for there you do not meet words of knowledge. The wisdom of the prudent is to discern his way, but the folly of fools is deceiving. Fools mock at the guilt offering, but the upright enjoy acceptance. And instead of acceptance there, it might be among upright, it is acceptance. Fools mock at the guilt. The heart knows its own bitterness, and no stranger shares its joy. The house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the upright will flourish. There is a way that seems right to the man, but its end is the way of death. All right, so I'm going to pause there for just a moment. We're not quite halfway through this proverb. It's a little bit longer than some of the others. But what we see here is as we go through, we're seeing the idea between wisdom and folly again. The wisest woman builds her house, but folly tears it down. The upright fears the Lord. So here we have the fear of the Lord again. So now it's the upright. So the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And the upright fear the Lord. But the devious, it says, despise him. They don't like his ways. And then it comes through a section here of those who are wise and foolish in their speech. And we see that over and over in Proverbs. And I think the saying that it's better not to say anything and have people think you're a fool than to open your mouth and prove them right. I don't know where that came from, but I've heard it before. And as we see here, there are many who have that issue, and that's why these Proverbs are bringing this to light for us. We also see that there is a reason for clutter sometimes. The things that make things messy are sometimes the things that bring the bountiful harvest, and that's talking about the oxen there. But sometimes you need tools, you need supplies, you need different things in order to have the right outcome for the future. And here we see that with the oxen. And then, of course, we see the idea of having a bitter heart rather than sharing your struggles with others, as we're told to in the New Testament, to share our struggles. And not only to share our struggles, but to pray for each other and lift each other up. But we know that there are those who don't want to do that. It says the house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tent of the upright will flourish. So we have that opportunity to continue to flourish. And then I like this verse 12. There is a way that seems right to a man, but in the end, its way is to death. And so a lot of times we have different avenues in our life that we think we're doing things properly and how God would want us to do them. And that's when we're going on our own path instead of seeking his advice, seeking his word, studying his word to know what we need to do, seeking the advice of godly people around us so that we can make good decisions in our life and not make have a terrible fall in one way or another. And just make sure that we are doing what is right in the sight of God instead of our own sight. It says, even in laughter the heart may ache, and the end of joy may be grief. The backslider in heart will be filled with the fruit of his ways, and a good man will be filled with the fruit of his ways. And so that's kind of the difference between one who is going to do the work and one who is not. The simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thoughts to his steps. I think a lot of times we have those who are simple believing whatever anyone says to them. And some of us have met people like that. Maybe we've been people like that sometimes. But what we see here is we need to give thought to that which is being told to us and the way that we should move forward because of that. One who is wise is cautious and turns away from evil, but a fool is reckless and careless. So again, follow the way of wisdom there. A man of quick temper acts foolishly, and a man of evil devices is hated. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. The evil bow down before the good, and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. The poor is disliked even by his neighbor, but the rich has many friends. And that's kind of an interesting thing to say. And I think what he's meaning there is the poor, in this sense, is someone who's always going to be borrowing from you, always wanting something from you. But in the other aspect of that, the rich are the ones who are always giving and being willing to do whatever. And I don't think that's necessarily monetarily, but giving of themselves. But here it says rich, so it could be monetarily what they're talking about there. But we see the difference between the evil and the wicked, between that and the good and the righteous. Whoever despises his neighbor is a sinner, but blessed is he who is generous to the poor. And I think that's where I was getting to that rich has many friends. Those who are rich in love, those who are rich in generosity are the ones that are truly rich to the world around them. It says, do they not go astray who devises evil? Those who devise good meet steadfast love and faithfulness. And so we need to be sure we're devising good things in our heart and in our mind. In a toil, there is profit, but mere talk tends only to poverty. So we can't talk about things, we need to do the work. And sometimes we're guilty of that in the church. We like to talk about what we need to do and what we ought to do. We just need to go and do it sometimes. The crown of the wise is their wealth, but the folly of fools brings folly. And so that can be a crown, someone's wealth, in the sense of the ability to maintain one's own dignity and everything like that. A truthful witness saves lives, but one who breathes out lies is deceitful. In the fear of the Lord, one has strong confidence, and his children will have a refuge. Again, we see the fear of the Lord, but here there is that strong confidence, and we talked about that a little bit yesterday in Proverbs chapter 13 about how we can have a strength and a confidence in our salvation. And I think we also were looking a little bit in Psalm 65 yesterday, and I might have mentioned that in that lesson as well. So the fear of the Lord is a fountain of life. That one may turn away from the snares of death. So the fear of the Lord brings life. Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly. So be slow to anger, slow to speak, but quick to love. A tranquil heart gives life to the flesh, but envy makes the bones rot. Whoever oppresses the poor man insults his master, but he who is generous to the needy honors him. And the master here, I think, is our Heavenly Father. I like how this tranquil heart is mentioned, and envy makes the bones rot. Envy doesn't do anything towards the person you are envying. It just hurts yourself. Same with holding a grudge. Same with everything that we hold against someone else, or we want that someone else has. It doesn't hurt that person. It just hurts us. It says, the wicked is overthrown through his evil doing, but the righteous finds refuge in his death. Wisdom rests in the heart of a man of understanding, but it makes itself known even in the midst of fools. So wisdom rests in the heart of the wise, but even foolish people can see something that is wise. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to many people. And I think we see that with the nation of Israel and with all nations. Righteousness exalts them. A servant who deals wisely has the king's favor, but his wrath falls on anyone who acts shamefully. And so I think that goes right with what Paul's saying in Romans, that we are to honor all people who are serving us, and the king in this sense is serving us, and we serve them in that way. And so it's kind of a mutual thing to be there to help one another. All right, well, thank you for joining me for this lesson in Proverbs, and I hope that you have a very blessed day. You guys take care. Thank you.